Beautiful day, man. Holy moly. Now, here we go. I'm thinking from 6 a.m. on Friday morning till 6 p.m. on Saturday, every 4 hours you had to get up and run 6.5 kilometres. And we can blame Senan, really, can't we? We can say that it's all his fault. Did this ever kind of feel like, as you led up to it, no, I shouldn't do this. This is going to be too much.
Well, yeah, absolutely it did. On the Thursday, I felt like that. Listen, the idea was sort of come out of, as I said to you before, Cystic Fibrosis is the name of the condition that Senan lives with. And years ago, they came up with this idea to teach children to say that they have cystic fibrosis by saying you have 65 roses.
Which is lovely. I didn't
which
realise
sounds
that.
it has a play on words. So the whole time away through raising awareness for CF, we said let's do something to do with the number 65.
Right.
So myself and my brother had that chat. The idea on paper sounded achievable, 6.5k every 4 hours for 10 hours. And then sure, listen, building up to it, it was like, oh gosh, actually we have to run 65. You know, they add that together, it's a little bit more than it sounds. But you know, break it into, you don't eat an animal or an elephant in one bite. You break it down into bits and pieces, and that's the way we did it. So the idea there was, you know, cystic fibrosis it's an Irish disease, strangely. One in 19 Irish adults is a carrier of the CF gene.
Wow. And
we're prevalent, you need two carriers to come together, and then you have a child with CF. So it's very, very common in Ireland, per capita, so to speak. Right. So a lot of people in Ireland would have connections, or they would have known somebody through their life that has or had cystic fibrosis. So for us, obviously living with Senan now, he's 7 years of age. He's in fine fettle, great health, thankfully. But yeah, for every year for us to do something to raise awareness for CF, it's really, really important for us to do that.
It is. You sort of hit on CF Ireland sort of awareness day, and as you said, 65Roses was chosen as a title because of that wonderful kind of child's play on it. Yeah. I wonder for Senan, was there? I don't know whether, like I saw pictures of him, he just seemed like a really happy kid, and for the awareness there, I'm guessing as a family it was one of those sort of I don't know if it was a gradual thing or whether you sat down with Senan and explained, because he just seemed so positive, and you seem so positive. It's a wonderful thing.
I remember back when he was diagnosed, he was 3 weeks old. We got a phone call. We didn't know. My cousin Fergal died from cystic fibrosis years ago, and we didn't know that I was a carrier or my wife Sheena was a carrier. And obviously 3 weeks you get a phone call from Crumlin and say, listen, come in for a test please. And you then live with, I remember our consultant at the time said, you now live with this will become your new normal. Okay. Right. And it is our normal. We live with a child with an illness, but as far as he's concerned, he isn't and doesn't have anything that's limiting. Yes, he has a protocol he goes through. He has to do his nebulizer in the morning to clear his lungs. He does his physiotherapy in the morning before school, before he has his brekkie. He's up, he's got 25-30 minutes of treatment to do, and he takes his tablets and he takes his enzymes to help him digest his food. But other than that, he goes to school up here in St. Bridget's, he runs around, he cycles his bike, he plays, he runs about, and our ambition for Senan is that his life will be as normal as possible and will be as fulfilling as possible for you and for I. And the thing with raising awareness for CF and why the run at the weekend was so important is to help create a mindset that we need to continue to invest in researching for this condition, investing in helping people with CF to get better access to future medicines, to get better access to future treatments, better techniques for physiotherapy, better digestive techniques to help them digest food. And if we can raise awareness like we did last weekend, fine, push ourselves to a perceived difficult run for a number of hours. That's what this is about.
And we should say that cystic fibrosis, this is a hereditary disease, as you mentioned, and it affects the lungs and the digestive system. And
exactly.
Now, the idea that something like the run itself would be kind of, was it shared? I know your brother was also involved. Was it? I don't know whether you took it in rallies.
Exactly. So obviously with everything with COVID, we weren't able to go out and run a big organised marathon around Greystones. So what we needed to do was we needed to try and create an awareness session where people could participate or do their own run, their own 6.5k loop or their own event. My brother lives in the city near the Phoenix Park.
What's his name now?
Dave.
Obviously he's the lesser brother, but we should.
He's the lesser one. He has a bit more hair, but that just slows him down.
I find people with hair, it's just the brain hasn't pushed to them out yet.
Aerodynamically, he's not as smooth running through the road, and like, listen, we don't want to compete too much, but yeah, he's probably uglier as well.
Yeah, and if the brain's not active, the hair doesn't get pushed out.
That's what happens. Hair keeps it compact, but listen, he got through it as well. Like, he probably struggled more than I did. But no, so Dave did it in fairness on his own in Phoenix Park, and in Greystones here, the power of the community is that when you put this out and you send a note out to a few people, you know, you got the offer of someone saying they might run along beside you 2 meters apart, and you could have a chat and keep each other going. My wife Sheena got up and did the 10 o'clock one on the Friday night and the 2 o'clock one on the Friday morning. So you know, we were really lucky that we had people that wanted to come out, give a dig out, and just maybe get involved in a sort of a distant way. And you know, the money that we then raise, putting it up on a social channel or a LinkedIn page or Facebook or Greystones Guide, that helps to again get the message out, but also to raise now clearly close to €25,000.
Well, I'm going to say that at the end. I'm stunned. I just think it's so beautiful that, you know, what feels like just a personal thing almost, that you're just going to, okay, let's do this run, let's try and, you know, do something for cystic fibrosis, for Senan and all that. Yeah. Getting up to 25,000 is a fantastic number.
Like, honestly, when I spoke to Dave at the time and I said, here, let's do this and let's try and raise, in our heads, maybe 1,000, maybe two, you know, and you hate, in my head, it's always mindful that I don't want to go back to the well at the same time and ask family and friends for another donation or a contribution to CF. They know we live with a child with CF, and I don't want it always to be about that. Right. But the generosity of people this year has absolutely blown us away. I'm not sure whether it is because you haven't been out in restaurants spending cups of coffee and sandwiches as frequently as we might have been, but the generosity was just absolutely inspiring.
Well, I definitely got that feeling almost immediately, because, you know, we've been in touch sort of late in the day, and I managed to get her up on the day. I was sort of hoping to get a bigger feature, and hopefully this will help raise a little bit more money. But just the immediate reaction was fantastic, because even because, you know, you sort of get news every day, you sort of almost forget that some of these things are very important, and they do have a deep effect on people.
Absolutely. And you know, everyone has got a difficulty of some sort, but like, you know, when you hear somebody is doing something for a better purpose, yes, Senan lives with CF, but there's hundreds of people in Ireland living with CF. There's going to be babies born this year that have diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. Can we do something that'll set them up for a better chance and a better success? And bringing people together, you know what, having a bit of crack, you know, albeit you're distant from each other, it's massive. It helps the mind, it helps us to get through what's been a really tough year. And next year, you know what, maybe we can all come together and we do a joint one around the town. Maybe we won't do 65, we might just do one 6.5 with like 100 people or something that makes it a little bit more palatable to the masses. But no, overall it was a really, really great weekend.
I suppose two quick things. A serious one is that, is there any sense with cystic fibrosis that there is a kind of path forward to tackling this, or is it something that it's just always going to be there?
Absolutely, there is, and the good thing, Senan is on a drug that was approved a couple of years ago. You might have been aware of a campaign. It was an Orkambi drug was the name of the drug. There was a lot of campaigning done. I was involved in CF Ireland. I'm the current chairperson actually of the charity now.
Great.
So I have connections in terms of being involved in the charity. So that drug is approved in Ireland, and there's a new drug that's now on the market which is eligible for people with cystic fibrosis called Kaftrio. And without going too scientific, what this does is it's tackling the underlying protein gene for people with cystic fibrosis, and it's shown massive improvements in lung function performance and other performances in their body. So that drug is a really, really categorized as a game changer for people with CF.
Brilliant.
It's not a cure,
right?
I should say there isn't a cure for cystic fibrosis, so they still live with the condition. But it's in a massive improvement in terms of their well-being, their sense of lung function and lung strength, and that'll help them to go forward and have a better chance at longer life. Life expectancy for someone with CF was in the late 30s, so life expectancy is somewhere between 37, 38. But that age is going up, and that's what we want to work towards. We want to work to campaign to find medicines, drugs, treatments that will mean that the life condition, the life expectancy is, you know, not got a ceiling. It's a ceiling that you could smash, I suppose.
I suppose there is always that argument too. I think that you know, as much as it's great to live to be a very good old ripe old age, it is the quality of life that's important as opposed to the quantity. Because some people live to be 80 or 90 and there's not much joy in their life, and others have a very short life and have a great time.
Exactly. So no, like for us, it's quality of life, and as far as I'm concerned, Senan does not live with CF. He is just Senan, right? And that's what we got to try and work towards, taking shackles off perceived labelled illnesses. That's what this is about. Yes, he will live with cystic fibrosis, but he won't be defined by it, and that's what is really, really important for me and for any other parent with a child with CF. It's you know, it's just that child, and they need to get away from the fact that they live with that condition as the label, so to speak.
I suppose the final thing would be that here you're the chair of CF Ireland. You love sending. You're very, very dedicated to spreading the good word and doing what you can. But I'm still thinking that a part of your brain, when you've got to get up and it's pitch dark and you know you've got to get up and run 6.5 kilometers, is there a part of you just says, "Oh, this is BS"?
Oh, I was absolutely at that on a number of occasions. It was cold on Friday night, very cold. It was 0. You know, as I said, Sheena got up with me at 2 o'clock in the morning, and that was great for the bit of company. A gentleman, David MacDonald, who lives in Greystones, he decided he'd get out of his bed in his car, a lad. He drove around to outside Aldi, he parked his car, and he blasted the Eye of the Tiger out of his car record player to keep us going. And like, yeah, listen, it was tough, but it's not tougher than having to go through a treatment protocol, get your bloods taken as a young kid in hospital, going for an operation. So, like, listen, you sort of rationalise what's perceived as difficult. Alarm at 5:50 on a Saturday morning, having been up through the night, it was an absolute pain in the arse, but we got it done, you know. And then Sunday at 6:40, when we finished just near the house, a couple of the neighbours came out, stood at the doorsteps, held a bunting across the road, and there was a bottle of champagne on the ground. So what that did is it actually gave our road a lift. You know, we've needed that release to be able to say, hey, listen, celebrate something for charity. What it showed me that the road down here in Marina Village, they're dying for a party when COVID is over, because you know, the sense of camaraderie and community is really what this town and people, when you get a charity event together, that's what brings them together, you know.
I think a lot of people in this town are now thinking, you know, when this is all over, let's go out and get completely and utterly sober.
I don't know, whatever they want to do, but there's definitely excitement in whatever way you want to call it. But yeah.
Well, I would say congratulations to you, not so much to Dave, but you know, some congratulations to him as well. But we will keep the donation line open, and also we'll keep in touch, and obviously next year comes around with any other events and all that. But well done.
Yeah,
fantastic.
it'd be great. Thank you so much for the chat, and great to chat to you. Thank you.